Yep. Don't think we're gonna be shooting outside today.
All right, welcome back everyone. Dr. Ben, not a real doctor here. And we're gonna cover a real simple exercise you can use to start improving your posture. We're gonna do a real quick explanation here. If you don't care about the explanation, just jump ahead to the exercise. It'll be time-stamped below. Your spine is supported on all sides by muscles. The torso in general has two jobs. One is to move yourself into a position, and the second job is to lock that position in place. So your spine needs to be highly mobile, but also able to become rigid for other muscles to pull against. It acts as an anchor for your limbs. Now, the Romans used to sit on chairs without a back because they felt like the back would make them lazy and therefore weak. They may have been onto something, probably fell out of fashion sometimes, or sometime around a horse got named to the Senate, but they were probably onto something. Using a chair back takes the job off of your support muscles of supporting your spine, and you can just kind of slouch and slump. And over time, those muscles get weak, they're unable to support the spine, and when we need them to support the spine, they can't do it. So we're gonna do a really simple exercise. I'm gonna be doing it sitting on the floor, cross-legged. You can also do this in a chair if a cross-legged or sitting on the floor kind of position doesn't work for you currently. You can start getting the benefits of this exercise. We're gonna go through just a few rounds so I can walk you through it, but it's really easy to apply. It's not complicated. I'll give you a few key cues so that you can get into the position and start to feel the movement. Now, the first step of this is just to sit comfortably. You don't need to get anything fancy. Like I said, you can do this sitting in a chair, but we are going to need to know a few key points so that you have a frame of reference to perform this movement. So first is the apex of your head. If you draw a line from the point of your ears straight up to the top of your head, and where they meet in the middle, that's the apex. So this is the highest point of your head, or it should be. Depending on your posture and how you're sitting, it may not be. But this should be the highest point of your head. Then you also need to know your sit bones. They're the bones down here. All right, if you draw a line straight down from your hip, you'll feel two little protrusions down here, right below basically where you sit. All right, that's the ischial tuberosity, also known as the sit bones. So the sit bones are going to be your anchor. They should feel like two little points on the bottom of your butt. And then you have the apex of your head. And just to get a feel for this movement, I want you to keep one hand on the apex, and I want you to think about keeping your sit bones in place. So when you move, you don't want to be rocking away from your sit bones. You want your weight to be firmly on your sit bones. And I want you to think about taking the apex of your head and pulling it. You can even, if you have enough hair, you can even grab some hair and pull the apex of your head away from your sit bones. All right, and this is going to have the effect of lengthening your entire spine. And the way it's going to do that is the muscles on the front of your abdomen are going to contract and push against your spine, and the muscles on the side of your abdomen are going to push against the spine, and it's going to have kind of a squeezing effect. It's mostly going to be, the major one is going to be your transverse abdominis around here contracting, which is your internal weight belt, and that's going to create tension and help support the spine with pressure inside your thoracic cavity. That's going to allow you to have a more straight spine. Spine shouldn't be straight, but more straight spine, as opposed to like a big wonky curvy thing that we tend to have from sitting in chairs and not supporting our own weight. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a few reps. If you have enough hair, grab some hair. All right. Make sure it is over top of the apex where you're grabbing. If you're grabbing too far forward, it's going to make things a little wonky. So grab some hair at the apex, get nice and relaxed. Make sure you're sitting on your sit bones, and then you're going to just pull yourself up by the apex of your head. Now, as you're coming up, watch that you don't arch your back and tilt your ribs. You want to keep that ribs down, okay? And you're just going to come up and then relax. And we're going to do this a couple more times just so you can get a feel for it. So pull the apex of your head up. Think about lengthening, stretching that spine. Try to lengthen, increase the space between your vertebrae. Don't think bend or flex. Think stretch. lengthen. All right, one more time. And again, lengthen that spine, straighten that spine. If you feel like you're getting a little out of place, things are bending and twisting and rotating, remember, do this consciously. Just bring everything back into alignment. All right, good. Go ahead and relax. How's the new hairdo? Still looking good? Ha! All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do that just a little bit, and we're going to hold it. So this is gonna force all those support muscles to actually do their job. Now that you have a little bit of a feel for the movement, and if you need to do this more, pause the video, keep practicing the movement itself before you move on to holding the movement. But we, the rest of us, not a judgment, are gonna continue on and practice with holding this position. So, get comfortable, relax. We're gonna hold this for around about 30 seconds probably, okay? Put your hands on your knees, because if your hands are too far out in front of you, it's gonna pull you forward. You wanna try and have your arms in a neutral position down against your side. Get nice and relaxed. Think about the motion we just did. And now, just extend and lengthen the spine. And if you need to pull your hair, revisit that to get into the position. Once you get into the position, relax your arm down. And we're just gonna hold this position. So as you're here, you don't wanna be trying to flex as hard as you can. You don't wanna try and make this harder than it needs to be. You wanna find a nice aligned position where everything feels and aligned to the best of your ability. And then we're just gonna hold this, okay? And you wanna try and relax everything that's not involved in holding this position. So it should be, you're probably gonna have a little bit of hip engagement, a lot of core engagement, some upper back engagement, but most of your body should be relatively relaxed. And the more you do this, the easier it'll get. Okay, and we're just gonna relax. Don't worry about holding any certain position. Just relax, take it easy, let everything go back to normal. The goal is to change normal, remember? All right, get ready. Hands on your knees, arms in a neutral position, and lift that apex away from your sit bones. Think about making that spine longer without bending, flexing, or rotating. Think about increasing that space between your vertebrae. And then, once you get into position, try to relax everything that's not helping you hold the position. Again, this is going to be a lot of core involvement. If you have forward head posture, there may be a little bit of weirdness around your neck and your shoulders. That's okay. Again, this will improve, and there are other things you can do to help this. But for now, this is building the foundation. If you can get the core in the right position, it's a lot easier for other things to follow. If your core is chronically out of position, then no matter how much rehab you do around the core, you're probably going to end up out of position again eventually. And as the muscles get comfortable, you may be able to lengthen your spine even further. So play with the position, see what you can get away with, see what works for you. And relax. Good, we're going to do this one more time. Now, as you get better at this, you can extend the time of the hold as well as try and increase the length. You should get to the point where this is just the way you sit, because this is a more natural way to sit with your spine supported rather than resting on ligaments in weird positions. All right, here we go. Last round. Remember, start from a nice relaxed position and extend that apex away from your sit bones. Lengthen your spine. Get into a good position, and then try and let everything else that's not involved just relax. If you feel your ribs are tilting, try to release those muscles and let your ribs come back down to a neutral position. For most of us, that's going to be the hardest part of this because we've been trained for so long that chest up and shoulders back is good posture. It's really not. While we're on the subject, a good way to test your position is you can put a thumb here in your sternum and a thumb here in your belly button. And if your hands are parallel, you're in good shape. If you notice that things are getting away from you, your hands are not parallel, relax those ribs down, come back to neutral. So there's a quick way to kind of get a little bit of visual feedback on where your ribs are resting. You guys are doing great. We're just going to hold this for a few more seconds. And relax. Good. Now, as you get better at this, feel free to extend the amount of time you're holding it. If I'm watching TV or playing video games or something like that, I try to maintain this position while I'm playing, get a little 2-for-1 deal. But as you get better at this, it will carry on to walking and all kinds of other things. Your ability to maintain those vertebrae on top of each other like building blocks instead of all bent out of place will greatly reduce the stress on the muscles around the spine as well as the spine itself. So this is a great thing to practice to start restoring function to your spine, mobility to your spine, and it's a really good way to start alleviating pain in the spine too. Muscles, those little support muscles that are just supposed to help stabilize, if they're doing a lot of work to hold a position for a long period of time, they're just not designed for that. They get overworked, then they get sore, and then they can't do their job at all. But that is our quick little exercise for the day. I hope you guys find this helpful. If you like the video, smash that thumbs up. If you know someone who can benefit from this video, please share it with them. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing. And until next time, keep your life in motion.